Signs in the sun, moon, and stars. This is Mazeroth Decoded, reporting 7/2/2025. This will be the seal of the eye. Welcome back, family. We're jumping on Stellarium. It's July the 2nd, 2025. And what I found is pretty incredible. This is going to be a special report. We're going to be focusing on this comet, Machaels, and we've been tracking this comet for a long time, and it has been involved in many of the signs that we found. And what I did is I went back to the signs that I was originally looking at with this comet, and I went forward and backwards, and the things that I found are absolutely incredible. And so this is going to be a report on those findings of this comet and the involvement in the signs that we've been looking at over years. So this is going to be a little bit longer than a short report. Because I've got to dig out all of this evidence and bring it forth for the body. This is incredible information. And what we're looking at here, if you're new to the channel, this area of the Mazeroth is right at the entrance of what we call the Golden Gate in heaven. This is the Milky Way running between the constellations of Ophiuchus and Scorpius, and on the other side of the gate you have Sagittarius and Scutum and Aquila and Corona Australis. And you can see that here that there is essentially a line of clouds that goes through the Mazeroth, and it crosses in two places. One, which is here, is called the Golden Gate. And if you look at Ophiuchus, his right leg goes down into the gate. You can also see that the Scorpius tail enters in through the gate, and the end of the stinger is essentially in the very center of the Golden Gate. And then you can also see how the Sagittarius, what we call the tabernacle, it is also the ark and the bow. If you look at the extensions of that, it enters into the Golden Gate. And what we're looking at today is 141 PG Machaels. And I believe there's four, possibly five of these comets. They all have 141P, and then they have a different extension. This one is the G comet. And that stood out to me, number one. Let's go ahead and go to the codes first. We're going to start here. Today, I want to bring this information first before we take a step forward, because if we remember back to the last time that there was an alignment with this comet, it was on April the 8th, and this was an alignment with the tabernacle family. This is very important because it was marking the April 8th of 2024 date. And you can be assured of this. These are, even the codes speak of this. So this is a 1 year warning sign. And this alignment with the tabernacle is very, very, very important. As a 1 year warning sign, this is pointing out this comet is involved in some serious signs. So let's go ahead and get into the codes, and then I'm going to do something that I normally don't do. I try to leave these codes open for your own interpretation. But on a couple of these, I'm going to interject and bring forth some of the things that I believe I was shown, and I want to give some more details on some of these codes. So let's get at it. First, Comet Macholes equals seed of Satan punished. Sign in the sky. So we all know that April the 8th was a great sign in the sky. This was the total solar eclipse over America, and they called this the Great American Eclipse. There was many, many names, and this one was very special because if you remember back uh, to the other eclipse that went over America, it went over seven or Salems, which it was a representation of Jerusalem, and then this last one went over seven of the towns that are associated with Nineveh. And this is essentially like another, it's a warning sign because of what happened with Jonah. And this is a direct association with that sign in the sky. And this gets really deep when you start going into these codes. So the next one is I am Mary Magdalene and Moon Matrix. And we know that if we're tracking the bride, then it's a moon association. The moon is the bride, and the sun is the bridegroom. And obviously, we see Magdalene showing up in all of these codes that are associated with the true bride of the Lord. And the seven stars are the Pleiades, but there's scripture that talks about him holding the seven stars in his hand. Um, we have many, many scriptures that are tied to this, and we can get into the book of Enoch. We can just see this going down the line, and it's all connected. And then you have the great beast and the harlot. And this one was really stood out for me because this comet has been involved in showing us the signs that are associated with what I call ritual magic that's happening in the world. They're using these codes and these dates and these alignments, the powers that be. That's how they do their work. Also, this is all encoded information, and they are using the power of these alignments in the heavens to do their ritual magic. And we're exposing what they're doing at the same time that we are showing the true message that was written in the heavens, and that they cannot decode this language because their focus is on the opposite side, which is control. And when you're focused on control, you can't be in a state of love. And that's what creates all of these problems, is that they're on the opposite side of the spectrum, which is the great beast and the harlot. And then we see Phoenix rise. And so we know this is associated with the resurrection. We have broadcast end of time message. This to me really stood out because, again, this comet is directly pointing to April the 8th of 2024, and that sign in the sky that we throughout history have always looked at eclipses as omens or forecasting or prophesying of coming danger. And comets used to be very serious signs to people in the past. Now it's sort of it's turned into a Hollywood show where people put on their glasses and they go outside and jump up and down, and they throw a party for the comet. And I don't really think our modern culture really has a good grasp on any of the signs in the heavens, and they flip everything upside down and backwards, and that's what this great beast and harlot has done to our world, as it's nothing but confusion. And so this is a broadcast end of time message. And that message is apocalypse, death. And on the flip side of that is what happens from that is the ends, the curse be on earth, and the curse be on earth ends. And the one who ends the curse is Yeshua HaMashiach. And it's the 101 new beginnings. And the AE, or the Aeon resurrected, the seal of the eye. So let's get into this. The seal of the eye. So we're going to jump into this really quick, and we're going to bring forth what this is, what its history and meaning is, and we're going to dig into this because this seems to be a modern explosion of misinformation, and there's just a lot of information out there that goes in a million different directions with this. So we're going to uncover what this means and what it has been throughout history, and we're going to look at it from a heavenly perspective. We know that we've been looking at asteroid Iris, and one of the codes for asteroid Iris is the eye of God. So we're going to dig into this really quick, and we're going to look at what this says. Also called the all-seeing eye, the eye of providence features an eye surrounded by rays of light, often enclosed in a triangle. It has been used for centuries in numerous cultures, traditions, and religious contexts with many variations. Featured on the $1 bill and the reverse side of the Great Seal of the United States, the Eye of Providence is often at the heart of conspiracy theories. Let's uncover the mystery behind the Eye of Providence. History of the Eye of Providence. Eyes have been a popular symbol since ancient times, as they symbolize watchfulness, protection, and omnipotence, among other things. However, there's something somewhat eerie about an eye with no face, as it can look malevolent, as it's watchful without expression. I want you to hear that again, family. As it's watchful without expression. This may be why eye symbols are often mistaken for being unlucky or evil. Interestingly, most eye symbols have benevolent associations. Within the context of the eye of providence, the word providence refers to a divine guidance given by a deity or God. For that reason, the Eye of Providence has become one of the many symbols with religious and mythological associations. It also made its way into official seals of various cities, as well as on insignias and coat of arms of different countries. In religious contexts, many historians speculate the Eye of Providence didn't emerge from Orthodox Christianity or Judaism, as eyes have had a strong symbolic meaning in many cultures since ancient times. Similarities can be traced back to Egyptian mythology and symbolism, such as the Eye of Horus or the Eye of Ra. In Buddhism texts, the Buddha is referred to as the eye of the world, while in Hinduism, the deity Shiva is depicted with a third eye on his forehead. However, such similarities should not be a conclusion that one symbol evolved out of the other. In fact, the first known appearance of the symbol depicted with the triangle dates to the Renaissance in a 1525 painting called The Supper of at Emmaus by Italian painter Jacopo Pontormo. The painting was made for the Carthusians, a religious order of the Roman Catholic Church. In it, the Eye of Providence is seen depicted above Christ. In Christianity, the triangle symbolizes the doctrine of Trinity, and the eye represents the unity of the three aspects of God. Also, the clouds and light represent holiness of God Himself. Eventually, it became a popular theme in art and architecture in late Renaissance, particularly in stained glass windows of churches, religious paintings, and emblem books. And I'm going to go ahead and attach this, and you can read about all the other things that are associated with Freemasonry and this Great Seal of the United States. We're going to move down here to this meaning and symbolism of the Eye of Providence. One is God is watching. Another is protection and luck. Another is spiritual guidance. Another is divine protection and blessing. Another one is the Trinity. And then it goes into uh, jewelry and fashion. You can read about how all of these things are seen in history. But we're going to go ahead and go here, and we're going to think about that perspective of this being a watchfulness, and we as a group of watchers, we have the ability by using the Mazeroth to see language that is much deeper on a spiritual level than if we were just reading books or any kind of other alternative information from a earthly perspective cannot match this story that is being presented to us in the heavens. And if we can decode this language, then we're being able to see the signs live and given to us over time. Each of these alignments that happens is sort of like um, a discovery within the wheel as it turns. And we're going to get into this comet and its language over time. We have an alignment today with the hoopa with Comet G. And all of this is going to be about Macro, so I'm just going to call it Comet G. And that, as I've said, stood out to me because we always have seen God or the supreme power represented by the G. And you can see how some people say the little g and the big G, and uh, there's a big representation there. So that stood out for me. So let's go ahead and dig into this. Here we are. We're looking at 141 PG Comet Mazeroth entering into the hoopa today just before 7 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. And we can see that this is the constellation Ophiuchus. And for those of you who are new, this is what we consider the marriage hoopa. The body of Ophiuchus here on these images looks exactly like what we would see for a marriage hoopa in the ancient times. And again, this line coming down, representing Ophiuchus' right leg, goes right into the Golden Gate. And we know that if we look at Virgo as the Virgin, she is the bride, and Libra is the altar. In the ancient times, it wasn't depicted as scales. This was depicted as an altar. And this could be a wedding altar, or it could be an altar of sacrifice. So we're looking at this as the Virgin at the altar. And once she enters the altar, then she is at the border of Scorpius and Ophiuchus, which is essentially like judgment, and that's why they have these scales here. In the ancient times, they used to show Scorpius connected to Libra. And so this was like a dual sign message similar to Capricorn, where you have the altar or the sacrifice and then the death, which is a representation of the sting of Scorpius. And in the scriptures, it talks about how the enemy would sting the heel of Christ, and we see that with the leg of Ophiuchus going into the Golden Gate, and in the ancient times, they actually have his foot right here at the stinger of Scorpius. And so you have that enemy stinging his right leg, but his left leg is shown as crushing the head of the scorpion. And this is right at the edge of the Golden Gate. And this is all very, very important when you're looking at marriage language. This is the altar, and then she makes it into the hoopa. And when we have these things come through this area of what we call the ecliptic, which is this red line, then we can see how they come directly through the altar and then they enter into, if they take a high line, then they enter into Ophiuchus. If they take a mid or low line, then they enter into Scorpius. And these are why we can see the language based on what direction uh, these heavenly bodies take as they traverse the ecliptic. So here we can see Comet Majos is above the ecliptic, and it is coming back into the hoopa. So we're going to do now is we're going to go backwards in time. And we're going to watch this comet. This is a very important way of looking at the heavens and watching the language. We're looking at today being the day that it aligns with the marriage hoopa. So let's go ahead and go backwards in time. And I want you to pay attention to what's happening with this comet. So we know the last time that we had an alignment was on 4-8. And I want you to pay attention to the location. This is directly aligned here when it makes its, you can see it is marking Mu Sagittarii. And this is essentially the deck of the boat between Mu and Cause Borealis. You can see how there's a straight line. This is what we consider the deck of the ark. It's also the very, very front of the ark or the boat, which is represented by the bow of Sagittarius. So this is like the mermaid or the queen or whatever they would post different things at the front of a boat. This is a sign, a representation. It's at the very tip of the tabernacle in the heavens. And this is happening, family, on 4/8, 1 year after the sign in the sky, which was a warning to the United States. And I believe that this comet is warning everyone about the coming dangers and about the things that are about to you know, uh, the things that are about to happen on the planet are a lot, and it's hard for us to be able to grasp the enormity of the things that are about to go down. We can see the beginnings of that happening right now on the stage, and this walk back is meant to be a warning to everyone, and I need everyone to look at this as a warning message. And we need to use this as a warning message. The heavens are warning everyone, especially here in America, because of this alignment here. This is a 1 year warning, and we're now approaching 3 months after this. And I believe we are about to start seeing some big things happen, but I want this to really dig into the psyche. This is a warning. It's happening right in the Golden Gate. It's an alignment with the tabernacle, the temple, the ark. We have to look at this seriously. This was presented at the time that it came out, but the message is so much deeper because of where this thing has come from and where it's going. So let's go ahead and continue to go back. And I just want you to pay attention to the things that are happening with this this comet. So again, now we have Comet Mazeroth aligning with the hoopa exit. So when the planets and the comets and all are traversing, going forwards, the comet Mazeroth is actually in a reverse mode, and that this is it coming back. So we're watching it. We can go ahead and move forward and watch it going forward, and then it makes its alignment, and then it goes into retrograde. So we're watching it now in retrograde. But this motion that we're taking now is just going back in time, but it's moving forward. So here we see the exit of Mazeroth from the hoopa. So this time that it's spending here is in the hoopa of Ophiuchus. And if you just look at what has transpired here, we can see in this area, we can see Mercury, the moon, and also Comet Atlas that we were watching transition through all of this during late December and January of of this last year. So let's go ahead and watch it go back. It's in the hoopa. If you just saw what I had made a video about this where Mercury essentially goes out to the edge of the leg of Ophiuchus, which is the hoopa. So Mercury here is marking the hoopa with Comet Mazeroth. And then we see the bridegroom make its alignment here right at the edge of the scales, or what we would call the altar, and the entrance of Scorpius. And as we transition, now remember, Mazeroth is going forward, but we're watching it in reverse. So 10, 14, 2024, we're looking at it from 9, 10. I mean, you can just see these alignments, family. This comet is showing us marriage language. This is Venus aligning in the altar with Comet Mazeroth. Let's see this. So I'm sure I did a report on this. This is Venus and the moon and Mazeroth right inside of the altar. This is showing us marriage language. So let's keep going back. Now I want you to see how Comet Mazeroth is now retrograding in the altar. Okay, so it's very important for us to see what is happening at this time. So again, this is the way that a comet would mark a very specific constellation by going retrograde within its borders. So just as we saw during the Revelation 12 sign with Jupiter going retrograde in the womb of Virgo, now we're watching Comet Mazeroth in the spring of last year, showing us some signs. And if we go forward, we see it, and then it enters into retrograde. And here we are again with the alignments. So let's continue to go back. I want to show you, I'm just bringing forth some very important language that this is showing us marriage language. So now let's go ahead and go back. We're going to go take this back. And now what we're going to do is we're going to focus on I'm going to go ahead and take it back a little more just so that you can see what I am about to present. Okay, fam. All right. So we're going to look at it from here. This is going back to 9/17 of 2016. And this is very important star language associated with the Revelation 12 sign. This is before the sign begins to develop. And this is where it essentially starts, right here. And I want to make a case that this comet has been involved in all of these signs from the very beginning. And it's been showing us in the heavens exactly what's about to go down. And when I look at this alignment here with Comet Machholz right above crater, which is the cup poured out. So this is a dual sign. It's a warning of judgment. And it's also a beacon, a marker for this wedding. So first thing we're looking at here, 9/17/2016, taking it way back, Venus at Spica, as Jupiter is transitioning through the Virgin. So let's watch this. Venus, Spica, Jupiter is transitioning through. Now we have the Sun at Spica, and we have Mercury, the messenger, at Spica. And this language in the heavens is absolutely mind-blowing to me. This is actually, in my opinion, it's more spectacular than the Revelation 12 sign itself, because this is everything setting up the story. So Venus, the bride, and this can be seen as the bride, and this can be seen as showing us as the harvest of the bride. But it's also language of the king. And if we remember the 2017 sign of Revelation 12, is she's giving birth to the king. And we have the bridegroom is right here and the messenger is right here, showing us the transition of what's happening in the heavens. The bride is being shown at Spica. We have the sun in Virgo and the king in Virgo. And the messenger is in transition from Leo. And we all know what that represents. So let's move forward. Watch Comet Machholz. You have the moon in the womb as the sun enters the womb. And then we have Jupiter coming into the womb area, but before it enters, you have Mercury entering with the sun in the womb section of Virgo. Now we have the sun at Spica and the messenger at Spica. Immediately before Jupiter enters into the womb section. These are all signs, and you have Comet Mazeroth right there pointing out exactly what's happening before Jupiter enters the womb. So let's move forward. Now we have Jupiter entering into the womb. Here it is with Jupiter inside of the womb. And family, I want you to watch this. Jupiter goes retrograde with Comet Mazeroth. Watch Jupiter enter the womb, go retrograde with Comet Mazeroth. Look, Comet Mazeroth goes forward with Jupiter. And now we're looking at 9-9. The day the king aligns with Spica, and Comet G is right there, family. You cannot make these things up. You can go back and you can look at what is lined up in Leo with Mercury and Mars and Comet Brorson and the Sun all in Leo, as if it's showing who is being born. This is the king. The king is at the line with Comet Mazeroth. And this, when I found this, it blew my mind because I had not seen this comet do this with Jupiter in any of my searching for the 2017 signs. So this is brand new to me. And this is a great sign when it comes to understanding the language that we're looking at. This is essentially, we can see this comet now as an extension of the Revelation 12 sign. This is continuing to give us the message all the way back from 2016. So let's go ahead and move forward. And we're going to go all the way back to where we are today. And that way we can understand the language going forward now. So we already saw what happened in the past. If you are interested, you can go back and watch Mazeroth's transition through all those years. There's a lot of language there, but my main focus was where did it come from? And by me going back and watching what happened in 2016 and 17 for that Revelation 12 sign, it really stood out that this is the comet that we really need to pay attention to because of the way that it retrograded with Jupiter. This is a direct sign associated with the king and the Revelation 12 sign and the harvest and the bride, and all of these things are being shown to us right now. So again, the last alignment that we had with Comet Mazeroth was 4-8 and the tabernacle. Now we're seeing today the comet aligning this evening with the hoopa, which is the marriage chamber. Okay, let's move forward and let's dig out the language of where Comet Mazeroth is going. I'm gonna need to get in really close. So it exits. We're just gonna call it there because we don't need to be exact. So now we're looking at on July the 9th, Comet Mazeroth now exiting the main part of the hoopa, but it's still inside between the legs of Ophiuchus, so we can still consider it inside of the hoopa. And again, this is just, you just can't make this kind of stuff up. Uh, Here on 821, we have Mazeroth now going forward. It's coming out of retrograde right at the border of the hoopa, which is the outside of the leg of Ophiuchus. And it essentially it attaches from Zeta Ophiuchi to Acrab. And you can look at it, that's a general line that you could make between Beta Ophiuchi and Acrab. Um, and that line can be seen as the outside leg or the entrance of the hoopa. So we're looking at Comet Mazeroth doing retrograde, and it's coming out of retrograde here. Now it's moving forward. And the things that I saw here just blew my mind. Family, this is some of the strongest language I've ever seen in the heavens because of Vesta. So now let's go back a little bit. We're going to watch the retrograde. And I want you to see this transition. Now watch Vesta up in the right-hand corner. So Vesta enters the altar. Mazeroth, I believe on the 20th. Looks like the 20th. It looks like on the 20th, Mazeroth moves forward as Vesta is in the center of the altar. And if we move forward, we now have G going forward in the hoopa, and we have Vesta transitioning in through the altar. And we have right here, which is the fall equinox. This is the equinox in fall. We have Vesta about to enter. Let's do this really quick because I know there's more language here that I want to bring forward because it's very important. This is what I found here is some of the strongest marriage language I've ever seen, and so I've got to present this correctly. So we have 141 PG Mazeroth essentially giving us the starting on July the 2nd, going all the way until fall. We'll just say that all the way through fall. it's pointing out the hoopa, the marriage chamber. And at the same time, Vesta is in the altar. Okay, so we have Vesta is in the altar the whole time. Okay, so there we go. Vesta is entering into the inner part of the altar. It transitions through the altar. And then we have on 9/22, Vesta enters into Scorpius. And at the same time, let's get it down to our time here. Okay, so here's our timing, and here's the other Mach-Holtz comets. They're not all showing up, but I've got one more that just popped up, and that's the F. There should be more, but we're going to get into this. We can see this alignment now back with the main part of the hoopa, and we have Vesta entering into Scorpius. And this is a very, very important section of Scorpius. This nebula here, we're going to watch Vesta transition into this nebula. And I have never seen I've never had any alignments here. I've always seen things close, but I've never had it happen like what's happening with Vesta. So let's watch this transition of Vesta. We'll get in a little closer. And I don't want to lose Smackholt, so I have to do it this way. There's the other E showing up. Where are you? Okay, I'm sorry, fam. This sometimes it's difficult to do it this way. Here we go. Okay, so family Vesta is this is 9/24 2025, September the 24th. This is the same day of the Revelation 12 sign. 8 years later. 8 years later. Vesta enters into this nebula, and it is right at the tip of the claw. To me, this has always been the representation of the harvest. This nebula here is, if you do your Mazeroth research, this nebula at the tip of the claw of Scorpius is always been represented with a harvest. And this is very, very strong language. This is the virgins being harvested. And we're going to dig in, and we're going to look at the rest of the language that's right here, because it's mind blowing. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to do this right. Okay, here we go. So here we are looking at it up close with Vesta inside of the nebula. And if we go, okay, here we go. We also have entering in, this is just, we're going to have to just take a look. We're going to have to take a look back here. Okay, so I want you to look at this area, and this is tough for me to do. Um, I'm gonna finish here. We already have seen the language of Mazeroth. In order for me to do this, I have to exit Mazeroth and I have to go in and do these other searches. So let's do this. So I want you to pay attention to this asteroid Metis. Now, if you've been following me for a while, then you know about Metis and you know about the codes of Metis. We're not seeing an alignment, so I don't have the codes pulled up. But Metis to me is one of the very first asteroids that I did research on with Vesta. And Metis is a representation of the marriage. Metis equals the marriage. And so right here, we're looking at Metis and we're looking at it right at the base of the scales. And this is right before um, it enters into Scorpius. And we can go and we can pull this back and we can look at the border of Scorpius here, and you can see that Vesta is inside. We're going to go ahead and back it up. So here's Vesta inside of the nebula in Scorpius. And 2 days later, we have the moon in transition into Scorpius. And again, now let's pull up Metis. And Metis is right there on this day. Metis, the moon, and Vesta are all entering into Scorpius. And now let's look at Dembowska. And what do you know? We have some of the most powerful asteroids with their star language. I'm going to have to do this really quick, fam, just because of I need to pull out this language really quick. Let's look for Dembowska and forgive me, fam. This is not the way I want to do this, but I should have had these pulled up because they're so important. Here's asteroid Metis. Christ, the Lamb of God, the Good Shepherd, Spirit of Enoch, message from the King. Song of Solomon, which is a love story. The Lotus, Morpheus, Great Global Reset, United States. four horsemen, beast from the sea. I am opening the seals, Kay. I'm pilot of the plane. 127. The stage is set. Eyes of the Lord. The biblical Messiah. Midnight Riders Ride and Star of Bethlehem. Okay, now let's go find Dembowska. I'm sorry, fam. I don't normally do it this way, but I just want to bring these forward because these asteroids have been involved in some very important language, and these codes can help us to understand a little more. So we have asteroid Dembowska. What does it equate to? Bride of Jesus Christ. White horse rider, the kingdom of heaven is at hand, as in the days of Noah. Great American eclipse. Family, you can't make these things up. The silver and gold threads. What are we talking about? The silver and the golden gate. Wormwood star. You are the key holder, the Holy Spirit, gone with the wind. I am free from all debts. Jesus the Christ, Yesu of Nazareth, the Lord of hosts, the Lion's Gate portals, resurrection, Trump return, the codes family. Look at what we're looking at in the heavens. This is Dembowska and Metis. I mean, you just can't make it up. You got Metis, Dembowska, and Vesta are now all in Scorpius. And Vesta was just inside of the nebula, which is an incredible sign. So we are looking at a warning. This is a great warning. Let's just walk it back on 9/26. The moon exits the altar and enters into Scorpius with Dembowska. And we know Dembowska is the bride of Jesus Christ. And we know Metis is the wedding. And we know Vesta is the virgins. And we know the moon is the bride. Enough said. Thanks for coming, family. Much love.